This is a tutorial to do multiplication using the area model. So there's many different strategies to do multi-digit multiplication, and this is just one of them. So here is a multi-digit multiplication expression, 42 times 31. To set up the area model, you're going to make a grid, and this will be 2 by 2 because each number is 2 digits, and you put the greater number on top. But the key here is to break up the number by place value. So first we deal with the 4, which really isn't a 4, it's 40, and then the 2, which is just 2. So that's 42 right there. And then same with 31, we're going to go 30 and 1. And so now what we do is we will solve each of these place values individually and then add them up to get our final product. So we'll start with this box right here, which we want to then multiply the number right above it and right to the left of it. So 40 times 3. And so if we go 40 times 3, we can go 3 times 4, which is 12, and then put on our zeros. Okay, so we get 1,200 is 30 times 40. This square right here is going to be 30 times 2. Right above it, to the left of it. 30 times 2, we go 3 times 2 is 6, so we get 60. This square right here is going to be 40 times 1, because the 40 is right above it, the 1 is to the left of it, and of course we get 40 with that. And then the final square is 2 times 1, because the 2 is right above it, and the 1 is to the left of it, so we get 2. And then we need to add these together. You can either add them all at once, or you can add them in groups. That's really whatever works best for you. I'm going to go ahead and add them all at once. Make sure you line up your numbers by place value, so the ones all lined up, so that you're adding the ones to the ones, the tens to the tens, and so on. And so we end up getting 1,302. Now if we wanted to relate that to our standard algorithm, I will show you that as well. So let me just write that right up here. So if we go 42 times 31, which is how we would just normally do the problem, right? So if we think about that, first we start with the 1, and we're going to times it by 42. So 1 times 2, 1 times 4, and we get 42. So that is our 1 times 42. So if we look over here, we see our 1 times 42. Okay, and then our next row is going to be not 3. We often think, oh, now we do the 3 times 2, 3 times 4, but that's actually 30. So that's why we're going to put our 0 there, because 30 times 2 is 60. Often kids forget to put the 0 there because they think that's just a 3, but it's really 30. And then 3 times 4, which is actually 30 times 40, is 1,200. So if we put it here, that is 1,200. So that right there, sorry, 1,000, so it ends up being 1,260. And so then we would just add those. So that right there is our 30 times 42, our 30 times 42. And then if we were to add those up, sorry, I'm just going to write over this last problem there. 3 and 1, 1,302. We can also check our work here. Now, I think the area model is easier in that the individual multiplication problems that you're doing are easier, but it's more work because you have to do it more times. But you have to think about which one works better for your brain. So let's go ahead and do another one. Now, if you notice on this one, there is a 3-digit number. So since we put the greater number on top, we're going to need 3 columns coming down because we have 3 place values, the hundreds, the tens, and the ones. And then we're just going to need 2 rows going across because this is just a 2-digit number. So the greater number goes on top. So we have 200 for the 2, it's in the hundreds place, 30 because 3 is in the tens place, and then 1 because 200 plus 30 plus 1 is 231. Our 25 breaks up into 20 and 5. And so now we're going to go ahead and start our multiplication. So 20 times 200. So we go 2 times 2 is 4, and then we have 1, 2, 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3 zeros. Be careful that you're doing this inside part right. These are pretty easy, but sometimes when math gets easy, we make silly mistakes. So then this box is going to be our 20 times 30. 30 is right above us, 20 is to the side. We have 6, 2 zeros. In this box right here, we're going to have 20 times 1. 1's above us, 20 is to the side. We end up with 20. Now we're down here. The numbers that are right above us is 200. The number to the left is 5, so we're going to go 200 times 5. 5 times 2 is 10. We have 2 zeros. Tack them on. Put our comma. This is going to be 30 times 5. 30 is right above us. 5 is to the left. 3 times 5 is 15. With our 0, we have 150. Final box is 5 times 1 because we have our 1 and our 5. And now we have to add them, and we want to add them carefully. So what you can do too is you can add these columns first. I can go 4,000 plus 1,000. Well, we know that that's 5,000. 600 plus 150, 750. 20 plus 5 is 25. Okay, now we're going to have to add these numbers. And so we'll go 5,000. You want to be careful about mental math. I know some of you can do this with your mental math, but sometimes we make mistakes when we do mental math. So it's good to prove it to yourself. Do it mentally and then check your work on your paper. Make sure you're lining up your numbers. So then we have 5,755. So now let's go ahead and do our standard algorithm. I'm just going to scrunch it up here. Okay, so we'll start with our 5 times 231. So here's our 5 times 231, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So we have 5 times 1, and then 5 goes to the 30, or the 3. 5 times 3 is 15, carry that 1, and now 5 goes to the 2, that's 10, plus the 1 is 11. So we have 1,115. Now if we look at that, this is 5 times all of this, and if we were to add these up, that would be the same thing. That would be 1,115. So now we're on the 2, which is actually a 20. So we need to start, if we're going to go 2 times 1, it's actually 20 times 1. So we want to make sure that we have our 0 there. We always put a 0 when we start the second number, because that's in the tens place. So now we're going to go 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 2 is 4, but remember it's actually 20 times 30, 20 times 200. So 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 4 is 4. And then we add those, and we get 5, 7, 7, 5, which is the same product as with our area model. And once again, you need to figure out which way works best for you. The area model is easier in that you are doing easier multiplication problems, but it just takes a little bit longer and there are more steps. So that is a quick tutorial on the area model for multiplying multi-digit numbers and how it relates to the standard algorithm.